Coming up in this episode of the KickCast, the garden gets a little bit smarter, a trading card game where the cards actually come to life, and a vest that will make you feel the game. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody, it is time for another episode of the KickCast. And joining me is a man who's newly minted and in the 48-hour film world is considered the shit. The one and only Drew Tyler. How are you doing today, Drew?
Oh, I feel like it. No, I'm doing awesome. I find out tomorrow night how our 48-hour film went, so I'll let you know. And it's good. It's good. I'm also on the cusp of a 5-day vacation with my wife and no kids. So excellent night.
See, luckiest man of the night on there. So I'm kind of jealous on there, especially considering it's getting hot in Utah, especially in my studio right now.
Going to Disneyland. I'm going to go see Jamie Cullum live in San Francisco. This is going to be good.
I'm envious. All right, so if you guys have never seen the KickCast before, first of all, welcome to the show. What Drew and I do here is we scour the interwebs to find the latest, the greatest, and the coolest crowdfunding projects out there, bring them back to you, and let you know if it's worth a back, track, or sack.
And sometimes they're easy to choose these projects, and sometimes it's like, wow, there's so many good ones. How many can we cover?
Yeah. I had a tough time tonight. And thank you all of you guys who actually sent in a vote for all of them. So we'll find out which ones actually made it. All right, Drew, before we kind of jump into that, how about we jump into some news that's happened? And lots of news has happened.
Lots of news. Lots of things are going on in the old world of the Kickstarter and other sites of crowdfunding.
Yep. So first of all, last week, Kickstarter decided to, introduce new features. First of all, they're introducing a feature called Launch Now. And
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge because one of the things that people have always complained about is that it takes so long to get through this process, and sometimes they just want to go, and a lot of times they get delayed by up to a month on there. So now the Launch Now allows you to, once it gets approved, making sure nothing prohibited is on your project, you can launch, or you can go the traditional route where you can submit your project to the community managers.
So does this kind of mean that they're not vetting anymore, or I know they're framing it as, we're here to help if you need us, but we're not going to get in your way. Launch when you want to launch. But it also sounds like they're not being as careful to vet projects.
I think they're still going to vet it, but they may have streamlined it a little bit.
Okay.
And that kind of actually goes into the second news that they announced that day, is that they're simplifying their rules. I
don't think they're that complex to begin with, but
they had multiple quantities and whatnot on there. But so they've simplified it down to 3 separate things on here. And one of them is projects must create something to share with others. Okay. The second one is projects must be honest and clearly presented. That's true. They've had issues with that, so that makes sense.
What was the Kobe jerky or something? That one was a wild one.
Yeah. And the last one was projects cannot fundraise for charity, other financial incentives, or involved prohibited items, usually, all the dark arts that why would you be backing a project like that anyways? So the funny thing is this is their abbreviated tools. And if you look on screen, I'll click to their advanced rules.
The expanded version. And it's still
explainers. It's a paragraph for each rule.
Nice. Nice.
So
I think that's great. I think it's wonderful that you're kind of getting out of the way and let people launch, because I have a consultant on a couple of projects where people are really eager and they've got everything that they want, or they're waiting on something, but they still have to calculate for what kind of time do we need to get approved before we can go. When we did our twin tags, remember we did that last November, we had an inside man inside Kickstarter that was able to look at and approve our project so much faster because we had somebody there. But that's, now we wouldn't even need that. You could just hit launch now and do your project if you felt good about it. And did I read, now correct me if I'm wrong, did I read something on the launch now that if you've had a project, if you've run a project before, that you were more likely to get the option for a launch now? It wasn't going to be like everyone can launch now, that it was going to be
No.
No, it's up for
What they said is they're launching it in stages. So about
stages. That's what
60% of the projects right now have it. And it's probably for those people who've had previous projects on there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the newbies will get rolled in the next few weeks.
Okay, so okay.
And I think that's smart because that actually keeps the quality of projects up there. Like one of my biggest issues with Indiegogo is since they don't really vet it, you can launch it after pretty much once you submit it on there, is some of the projects have it's lower quality. And you notice that reflected on the show. We tend to lean more towards Kickstarter projects because they tend to be better put together, better explained on there. So if you're a newbie, I still suggest you go talk to these community managers. They they said they have, kind of offered their advice to over 100,000 creators.
Well,
so they know
you could also come talk to us.
Yeah, talk to us. We'll love you too. We'll give you all the attention you want. And, just throw a couple bucks our way.
It's coming. We'll give you an option to do that. Sure. Support us.
And then, so speaking of, this is again for another, for our all the project creators, is that Kickstarter, we talked about Indiegogo last episode. Kickstarter's like, me too. They announced a curator handbook or creator handbook.
This is great, though. This is a fantastic, again, here's the proven effective methods. Here's what people have been doing that has worked, and here's how you can do it too.
Yeah, and it's broken down in fairly easy steps, from getting started to your rewards, to your promotions, fulfillment, your story. Well, that's something Drew and I always mention to people is you have a good story, your fundings, updates, and even further reading for other things. I wonder how hard it is for them to listen to the KickCast for more of that. I'd love that.
As you get ready to run your Kickstarter campaign, please tune into the KickCast for bi-weekly updates. Nice.
Yeah, so that's another great resource. We just gave you 3 resources for if you want to be a project creator, Indiegogo's handbook, Kickstarter's handbook, and us.
Yes.
You should come to us.
We'll tell you
we'll tell you the 411 on there. All right, and then last but not least, I could not go on without talking about this. And plus, thanks to your lovely wife for reminding us about this.
She's been talking. Yeah, I mean, since it came out, she's been talking about it. So this is definitely. We'd be remiss if we did not discuss this one.
So I'll kind of give people a background. As I was a child, I watched a lot of television, and a lot of it was on PBS.
Healthy, it's good.
So yeah, the 2 things that I would like to watch was Star Trek and shows on PBS. So you can guarantee one of my favorite shows on PBS was Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton, or Geordi in Star Trek: The Next Generation,
right
on there. And he has decided to bring Reading Rainbow to the crowd. I didn't even know that it was still airing in 2009, but he stopped in 2009, and then a couple years later, he actually came out with an amazing iPad app.
It is good. It's really good. In fact, that was the first thing I did when I watched the Kickstarter video and saw that it was funding so quickly. I went and got the app, and we've used it almost every day since.
Yeah. And so when he brought this took Kickstarter by storm. He had $1 million goal, did it in less than 24 hours, and then doubled it in less than 48 hours.
Yes. I remember we tuned in because I told my wife about it right before dinner and looked at it, and I think it was $36,000 off. So he was at like $970,000 or something. And we ate our dinner, and then I was like, let's look at it and see, what the levels are, because of course she's real big into the Reading Rainbow and good apps for kids. And so we looked at it, and it crossed over the 100, the million, and we were like, oh wow, that went fast. And then the next day, wham.
Yeah. And his whole goal is to bring this show as a web series now and make it available to almost everybody. I mean, part of the money where it's going is not even going to the production of the show. It's to give free subscriptions to classrooms of kids and inspire them to read.
Which is fantastic because there's so many school districts out there that I know of locally and around that are trying to get tech into the classrooms. They're trying to make their kids tech savvy, or at least trying to keep up with, like, how do we better educate our kids using the things we now have? And so iPads, big computer labs, things like that, even at the kindergarten, first grade level. So to be able to give an entire class access to an app like this, where the teacher has resources on top of what, the family gets, what a great, library in your pocket.
Yes, and he has one of the greatest Kickstarter videos ever, too. You guys should check it out.
Yes.
And you will understand why I loved it so much. And I honestly wish I had $10,000 so I could go have dinner with him and Brent Spiner.
And this is a hard one. This is one of those I looked at all the tiers, sat down with Stace, and we were like, well, do we, how more do we want to go? And I think we're going to back at least a 6-month subscription, if not a year subscription.
Oh, you weren't going for that $10,000 one. So you know how you live vicariously through me. I'm trying to live vicariously through you.
I can't do 10,000, but I did consider adopting a classroom, which is like 400 or 500. So I did consider, getting it for my kids' like second grade class, just to be the cool dad.
Yeah. So congratulations to Nevar and team. You guys rock and keep doing it, because you played a huge influence in my life growing up and learning to read. So I want you to keep doing that forever and ever and ever, because that's
Don't
amazing.
take my word for it.
All right, Drew. So that wasn't actually a project that we wanted to cover. So let's just jump into our projects right now.
Okay, 1, 2, and 3.
Yep. Our first one comes from a friend of the show and a friend in real life, one Randall Bennett, Randall B. Genius.
Sweet Randall B.
Yes, genius. He sent me this tweet, and I've asked you this before, right, Drew? Do you have a pretty decent green thumb?
I've got a fantastic herb garden. Well, my wife is a green thumb. She's got a great herb garden. This year we did an entire vegetable garden. Last year it just fell apart because our soil is bad. But yes, we do well.
So I have a solution for you, because you're a little bit more advanced than me. I just know put seed in the ground, put water, and hopefully something grows on there. And so it's hit or miss for me. So our first project is actually Eden, and it is actually bringing this word smart. I know people are going to hate this, but it's making your garden smart on there.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, and what it is it's an environmental monitoring system, essentially. So there's two parts to it on there. There's the sensor, and then there's a water valve. So the sensor kind of gathers all your information. So it gathers your ambient temperature, the humidity, light intensity, soil, electrical conductivity, and the conductivity actually will give you the acidity of the soil, which is great. It's Wi-Fi enabled, powered by solar, and it lasts 2.5 years on the battery charge on there. And one sensor is good for 250 square feet, which is pretty much good for a garden.
Yeah.
On there. And then so that's the sensor, and the other piece is this water valve right here, which you hook up to your irrigation or your drip line or whatever you have on there, and it actually controls your sprinklers and it takes the sensor data from the sensor on there, and it will know how to control it. In addition, since it's running on Wi-Fi, it pings to your phone on there, checks for the weather and other conditions like that too. So if it's raining, it knows not to water as much on there, and it takes all these sensors, all the information you get from the sensor, put together, and makes a decision. And what's even cooler is this app right here. Once it gets all this information, it will tell you, you can, this soil is good for planting tomatoes, good for planting herbs and stuff. So it actually helps you plan what you can do. Because you ask me, I know nothing about when's the right season to plant your tulips or whatnot.
I don't know that.
All of that's like, I know how to look at people, and that's it. Growing plants, little beyond my understanding on there. And the app gets smarter the longer you use it, because it uses machine learning to kind of figure things out on there. So yeah, and and they've made it compatible for almost anything out there. So the water valve works with a hose or any of the drip irrigation and stuff, and you only need your household water pressure, so you don't need a special pump or anything for that either. So that's nice.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you kind of think about this, Drew?
This is a definite back for me. I think that when it comes out retail, it looks like it's going to be around $120, or maybe. I mean, looks like it's going to be up there. Right now, you can back at the $99 level and still get one of these garden sensors. I love the idea. I love being able to keep tabs on soil and other things, and that's something that's really hard to do right now.
And I love how good it looks too.
Yeah,
this kind of follows the line of Nest, and that where it's not only functional, it actually looks good, and you won't be ashamed to have that in your garden on there. So it's a back for me too, just because I know nothing about gardening, and this actually may help me out grow. I could probably grow something other than weeds.
You could do it.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go on to our next project right here. And Drew, we just barely finished our E3 gaming coverage yesterday of the Sony press conference. E3 just barely technically kicked off today on there. So we've kind of had gaming on the mind.
Lots of gaming and lots of beautiful visuals and very much, button mashing fun.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I grew up loving was I loved playing Yu-Gi-Oh, the trading card game. I loved watching the anime because I thought it was so cool that you could put a card down and a hologram of the monster shows up on the field and they kind of fight each other and stuff. And I've been looking for something. We've had kind of sort of faux things like that. You can
Right.
do augmented reality where there's like a code or something and it just pops up, but it really doesn't fight or anything, or do the card game aspect of it on
Right.
there. So there's this team, and they've come out with this thing called Drakers, and it's an augmented reality trading card game. You heard me right. They're bringing that concept from Yu-Gi-Oh that I've long looked for and brought it to life on there. All you need is the cards and a webcam, and the app will do everything else for you on there. And the minimum requirements for this game is, pretty. It's not that high end right there. I mean, a Core Duo, 2 gigs of RAM, 1 gig of free space, free disk space, a 3D graphics card with 512 megabytes on there. The webcam requirements aren't even that high. It's only 640 by 480.
Which is anything almost.
It's nothing on there. And then it will support all the way down to Windows XP, because they'll support XP even though
Microsoft
won't on there. And it's great. So you can play online with people. You throw down the cards, you'll see your table, and then once you put the card down, the monster will pop up. The game itself will keep track of your score and everything, so you don't have to worry about that. You can focus on the combat and your strategy and what you want to do with it.
So you control them in combat?
Yes.
It's not like they just do the math and be like, oh, this one trumps that one. But you can actually...
they all have different like attacks and whatnot, and you can play other cards to augment them. So it doesn't. Okay. I'm pretty sure it doesn't do it automatically on there. And it so you can play with people over the internet via multiplayer, or they have a single player story mode, so you can play against the computer if you're the type of person who doesn't want to.
You don't talk to people.
Yeah, I don't talk to people. I talk to you guys. So that counts as my weekly interaction.
So I love this kind of stuff. I really enjoy the Skylanders and the Infinity, and the idea that you put the actual physical thing there, and then it comes into the game. And this is almost the reverse, where it shows up on the card and it's in front.
Oh crap, Drew! Did you just die on me?
I'm here. Hello.
Okay, there you go. Sorry.
So I love it. I think I would enjoy seeing this, and I've seen something like this with the PSI early on. But again, like you were saying, it's kind of for demo purposes. It was like, neat. I look fit.
They actually mentioned that somewhere. It was like there may have been, they say that there may have been a PlayStation Eye game that was sort of like this, but this is entirely different. It's on a whole new level.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. And what's nice about this is, it's right here. Even if you think you've played a game similar in nature to Drakers on the PS3, do not be fooled. We are the first of its kind. And they've planned for both too, because it's combining the online trading card games like Hearthstone and Infinity Wars that people have been playing, and the offline ones. Your Magic the Gathering, your Yu-Gi-Ohs, your Pokemon, putting together. You get the best of both worlds because you don't need the PC to play offline. So if you add physical friends, which is a foreign concept to me, meeting in the flesh space, you could just play there on the table. It's really weird to me, but okay, whatever floats your boat on there. So I love it. I love the mythos that they've kind of developed in this world. The art looks beautiful on this.
Art's really good.
Beautiful on there. And they're not pricing it out of the range of any other trading card games. They're comparable to what you're going to get with any of all the other ones.
Like 40 cards for $25 to get started, plus customization for your particular one, in-game title of Craftsman Founder. I mean, there's some... Yes, this is appealing. Yeah, and they had... I forgot the number, but it was like 190 some different cards already planned out on this. And they'll have booster packs, 2 for $10 for booster packs. That's about what you're going to pay anyways anywhere else. Right. So I was... Early as we started talking about this, I thought, well, how long is it going to take for this to get through the Kickstarter, get funded, get into production, and then out to stores so I can go pick it up at my Target or Walmart, like trading card collections or even gaming stores. And I thought, it'll just take too long. We won't see this for 18 months or more. But then I realized that once they're produced and they've got the production going, cards and other things you could purchase probably directly from them quicker. Yeah. Like you don't have to wait for them to do the distribution. I mean, just order it online.
They're aiming for September. And if I remember right, if you don't have the physical cards, they'll have a free-to-play version.
that you could still
that you can
enjoy
play for free. So
Nice.
like that's great. I love this, and I hope if anything they get there. The sad part about this is the projects, they have 7 days to go and they're only about halfway through the goal. I really want to see this happen because if anything, if Drakers doesn't work, they'll still have the technology behind this
Right.
that they could
Sounds
license out to the bigger names and be able to do this. And
Do they say what the 30 grand is for? Like what they're hoping to do with it?
I think they're to actually print the cards.
Reach the last of our art and engineering requirements. We have a clear number of stretch goals with your support in mind. This amount will enough to reach the last of our art and engineering requirements. I mean, it looks like they've got a team. It looks like there are enough people working on this that it's Kickstarter fail or not. They're going to push forward.
They're going to push for it, but this is going to get it for this year instead of 2 years later on there. So I'm excited for it. It's a back for me. What about you, Drew?
Yeah, it's a back for me. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
Yeah. So that was the Drakers, your augmented reality trading card game. All right. So our last project of the night is again gaming related because we still have E3 on the mind.
It is, but it isn't. I mean, I think this could cross some barriers.
Yeah. So one thing with the Oculus and all the augmented or the VR systems is it's mostly headsets, right?
It's all visual.
Yeah. So you're only having your visual acuity on there. You're not really getting any haptic feedback other than pressing the buttons on the controller. So our next project is called the KOR-FX, and
this thing is beautiful.
It is trying to take it to the next level by giving you more haptic response on there. So what it is, it's a vest that actually takes the audio from your game and changes it into pinpointed high definition tactile feedback. So it's not just rumbling the entire vest. It is rumbling specific parts of the test. So it actually doesn't use a rumble pack.
It's audio.
Yeah, it uses audio and it relies on your body cavity as your echo chamber on there, which is kind of cool if you think about it.
But if you think about that, it's brilliant that it's not a rumble pack, because rumble packs that's got to be in the game software. The developers have to redesign games to connect with something like this. By using the audio, they're able to pinpoint just certain, just like with your amp in your car that sets, what level your subwoofer kicks in at. You can set that on the vest and say, I want, something as loud as my footsteps to rumble a little bit here, or I want something that has to be, over this threshold and in this range to rumble. And so the guys that were sampling this were talking about how they could feel the recoil of the gun, and every time they pulled the trigger, they felt a little bit of a bam, bam. And then when they got hit or something flew by them, they still, they were able to feel it. So for me, it's brilliant that they're using that audio signal to connect with, because I think that makes it pretty ubiquitous. And the idea of haptic, I think, is huge, especially with the VR world, because that's the missing piece. If you want to get immersed in a world, let stuff touch you.
Yeah, and I love this too, because I was worried when I saw this, like, oh man, this is only going to be for PC gamers. But since they're using that audio port, anything that has a headphone jack,
right? Yep.
Anything, so we'll be able to load it on your consoles. We'll be able to load it on a tablet. And I love it. So
but it's wireless, right?
Yeah. There's 2 parts to it. So you're not going to have a wire hooked up to your vest. It comes with a wireless transmitter dongle. Have you noticed the word dongle is now accepted?
I was going to say, I love to say it just because it's still weird.
On there, and then it has the vest. You do a one-time pairing on it. So when you pull it out of the box, you pair it one time, and after that, you just turn on the vest, and you're good to go. It runs on 4 AA batteries for the vest. The transmitter can run off USB or 2 AA batteries on there, and you get 30 to 40 hours estimated runtime on 4 AA batteries for this thing. That is sick. I was worried that I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to remember to charge it and stuff. But the AA's, you can get those anywhere. I have a gazillion of them running around, and I have rechargeables everywhere, so
right, exactly.
I can just cycle them through on there. And
it's amazing. Like, there's so much good in this, and I don't know if this is a prototype. They obviously demoed it at South by Southwest. It looks like they're far enough along. Again, this is one of those things that we're going to see eventually, and I think this Kickstarter is going to keep it going at a good clip, fast enough for us. And looks sexy.
Yeah, it looks cool because they started off with these plastic tabs that you're going to wear around, and that looks uncomfortable. So I'm glad they switched to this vest type thing. And I should put the disclaimer: it fits most body types, but not all body types.
If you're living in your mom's basement, it may not fit you. If you exercise regularly.
On there, and yeah, I love how it comes with presets on how much rumble you have on there or response you have, but you can fine tune it too. So if you only want a little bit, you only want to feel your gunshots, but you don't want to feel the trucks or when you're walking on there. I thought that was cool when somebody said like, yeah, when I was walking, I could feel like I was walking on there. So like that's so cool. First time I saw this, I'm like, this looks a little goofy, but when I read into it, I'm like, holy crap, this is what we need to kind of take VR to the next level, to take gaming to the next level.
Yes.
I mean, because all these people who have kind of those loud sound systems that try to get them immersed on that, but
yep,
you have a family. You can't be cranking up to 11 all the time next time you want to play a shooter.
This would do it though. This is the way to do it. I was just looking at those early form factors that they had, and they've got a couple that look like the unsexiest man bra. Like it looks like a man's ear that's like just the way that it was. Yeah, this what they're at now is a winner. This is gonna go. It looks like a tactical vest or something that you'd buy at the store. The other thing that I really loved about the KOR-FX is that backers anyway, they have a tier for $135 bucks, and that's like any other peripheral that you're gonna buy.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, I've spent that much on keyboards.
Right. Well, you're special, my friend. Yes,
I think I might get one of these.
And I mean, they've got almost 200 backers at that level, and then it goes up, and there's a couple at the 150 level. But wow, I this is where it's got to go, especially, and it's not just gaming, but I think that you may eventually, and we're talking, a little sci-fi, but 5-10 years, we'll have possibly haptic gloves and a full or haptic
a true power glove.
Yeah, well, kind of, right? But something that we can get more feedback in that VR world, especially as Oculus is now kind of getting fast-tracked thanks to $2 billion. That and other things, I think you're going to see a lot more haptic coming out in order to experiment with that immersive world and how you can get deeper into something, whether it's a game or even a movie or other types of entertainment or, just real life. Imagine being able to give somebody a hug. I know they kind of started to do that kind of thing, but just that kind of physical feedback is next. That's the next step.
Yeah, and I'm really curious how this responds to music. I could wear
just normal music.
Yeah, and then I could feel Skrillex resonating through my body.
Dubstep would be like this heart arrhythmia
on there. Yeah, I think I might back this, and then if I get it, I'll hook it up to my headphone port. So Drew, you'll be able to control the haptic feedback. As we're recording the show, so you guys will just hear me see me shake.
I'll sending all sorts of audio for you. That is fantastic. I really would love to try this. I mean, I'm curious as to see where they're going to be showing it off at, and I would love to put myself in one of those just to feel that. I love it.
Yeah. So I want to try one. And I think I might back this, dude. And then we can have little big cast live streams where people are playing it.
Climb in. It's game time.
On there. So that was the KOR-FX. So is that a back for you?
That was a back for me. Yep.
Holy crap. It's a sweep, dude.
Triple backs?
Yeah. Triple backs tonight.
There's some good stuff. And I think even in our KickCast cuts down at the bottom of our show notes, there's a lot of still good projects that we didn't talk about.
There's a lot of them. So
maybe it's a good week to spend your money. Get out there. Support them.
Yes. Summer. What else are you going to spend your money on? And Father's Day is coming up soon. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Drew. The sad thing, though, is that it's the end of the episode. That's all our projects. I never know where the time goes, dude. Seriously. I'm like,
we're fast.
Yeah. Holy crap. It's already been another half hour. Oh, man. I won't be able to talk to Drew for another 2 weeks.
It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while. Sad.
Because I'm going on a trip. Yay!
Yeah. I know. I'll live vicariously through all your Instagram pictures.
Yes. You'll watch and I'll find all my good times. Because without kids, it's been 7 years since I've been kidless for this long, so I'm pretty excited about it.
So if you want to follow Drew and his adventures on there, follow him on Twitter @Night20. You can follow me @Ktdata, where I'll be like, man, I wish it was Drew.
That'll be the exchange every time. I'll be like, look what I'm doing. Man, I wish I was Drew.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes, follow me. It's gonna be a good 5 days or so. I'm excited about that.
If you really don't care and just want to know when the show goes live, @KickCast on there. We'll put there and we'll show you when all that good stuff. If you have projects or anything and you want to let us know, Twitter works, or you can send us email, kickcast@ktdata.net, or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/kickcast, or on Google+. Yes, I still check Google+, plus the kickcast.net to get to that.
Still alive and well.
Yes.
Tell your friends if you enjoy crowdfunding, and if you find projects that you like, spread the word. It's getting. I mean, it used to be kind of a year or 2 years ago. It'd be like, so there's this thing where you can give people money, and if they get enough, they actually take your money. So tell your friends and tell them, because it's a little bit more acceptable now to be like, yeah, pitch in with me. Let's support this.
Yeah. So, and I'll give you guys homework. Tell your friends about the show. If you like the show, go tell just one person about it and see if they'll take a listen to us.
Yes. Yes, please.
I will give you a hug if you do that. I will give you a hug if we ever meet in the meet space, and I keep my word. So just be
He does. He really does.
On there. So our next episode is actually in 2 weeks, and I didn't write it in, and that should be June.
Today plus 14. 24th?
June 24th. June 24th will be our next episode, and please come watch live. We had Sparky and Aperture in the chat room talking.
Oh, I didn't even look at the chat room today. I'm so busy.
There. You can find that at live.kickcast.net. It's always great right there. And if any of these projects were like, oh wait, where do I find the KOR-FX and stuff? Just head on over to kickcast.net. Look for episode 43 of the KickCast in the show notes. Links to all the projects there, so you don't have to worry about it. It's all good there. Other than that, am I missing anything? Oh, make sure you check our recorded E3 coverage of the Sony PS3 conference. I had a blast with the Little Big Cast crew on there.
You look good. I mean, it was a great shot. You get to see all of our lovely faces all the time while watching the Sony presser. It was a good setup. I geeked out on our back end.
Yeah, and there was a great back and forth between me and Jeff about Sony's media section of the presentation.
Yeah, he still thinks that was like the crappiest part of it, and I was like, come on, it totally makes sense.
I'll admit it was the slowest part, but
sure, but
playing devil's advocate is always fun.
It was okay. It was okay.
So yeah, make sure you guys check all that. You'll find all of that at ktdata.net, and we will see all of you guys in 2 weeks.
Good night.
Bye.